In the beginning, we see a female agent, Vivi, entering the CIA headquarters to meet the CIA director. In that meeting, Vivi got a mission to arrest Wolf, whom the CIA has been targeting for the past 10 years. The Wolf was an ex-German soldier who sold explosives to terrorists worldwide. He had a right-hand man, Albino, who was commissioned to sell bombs in Serbia. The director explained that he had sent a team to secure the bomb and arrest Albino. Vivi's job on this mission was to kill the Wolf, while the team that had been dispatched would deal with Albino. Before leaving, Vivi asked who the agent that had been sent was. The director answered that the agent's name was Ethan, a CIA veteran. "My name is Sid, and today we're going to recap the 2014 action thriller film, 3 Days to Kill. Please support my work, and let's get back to the story." Meanwhile, Ethan just completed his mission to take out a terrorist group in one of the hotel rooms. Other agents appear to be monitoring the hotel from CCTV. Another female agent, Yasmin, disguised as a hotel janitor, headed to a hotel room and saw many bodies. She found out that Ethan had completed his duties. She called Ethan, who was purchasing medicine at the pharmacy. Shortly after, Yasmin gave Ethan a briefcase with a scanner. Ethan went back to the stakeout and waited for Albino to come. His target was spotted, and suddenly the alarm on his cell phone went off, informing him that that day was his daughter's birthday. He kept his cell phone and began to complete his mission of performing a scanner on the bag Albino was carrying. Ethan walked up to him and deliberately crashed the suitcase he was having with Albino's suitcase. Ethan walked out and rushed to a car to hand over the briefcase for another CIA agent to examine immediately. Once there, Ethan asked permission to call his daughter on her birthday.
"I need a second to make a call."
And he got a 5-minute call. Since he didn't have any coins to call on the payphone, he traded his watch for coins at a store. At the same time, inside the hotel, Albino accidentally bumped into Yasmin, and he recognized her as an agent. The surveillance team in the car instructed all agents to move immediately because Yasmin's cover had been blown. One of the agents stopped Ethan from leaving with the case. The scan wasn't finished yet. When the results came through, it confirmed Albino's suitcase was packed with a bomb. At once, the agents moved to take him down. Inside the hotel, Albino realized the CIA was after him. He called Wolf, who told him to cancel the deal.
"Boss."
Abort.
Following the order, Albino shot Yasmin, clearing the way for his men to escape. Outside, Ethan was still on the phone with his daughter when he spotted another agent tailing him. He quickly stepped out of his car. Moments later, a firefight erupted between the CIA team and Albino's crew in front of the hotel. Clutching the suitcase, Albino gunned down a hotel staff member and pushed through the chaos. Ethan ended the call, rushed in, and confronted them head-on. Just as he was about to enter, Albino hit a detonator. The bomb inside the hotel went off, throwing Ethan across the ground. When he came to, bodies and wounded agents were everywhere. Pushing himself up, he charged toward the lobby roof, where Albino was making his escape. Ethan took down the men with him, but Albino still slipped away. From a distance, Vivi kept her eyes on Ethan. He chased Albino until a sudden crushing headache slowed him down. Still, he fired a shot that caught Albino in the leg before collapsing. When Ethan woke, he was in a hospital bed. A doctor told him the news: brain cancer, already spread to his lungs, with maybe 3 months left to live.
"It's a type of brain cancer, and it's spread to your lungs."
The CIA could no longer keep him on the job and forced him into retirement. An agent who came to visit thanked him for his years of service and handed him a watch before leaving. Cut to Paris. Ethan walks toward his home, only to find it already occupied by George and his family, who have been living there while the place sat empty. Ethan went to the police station to have George's family removed from his home, but the officers told him they couldn't help. The law protected people without housing during winter. With no choice, Ethan returned and allowed them to stay, but pointed a gun at George and warned that they could remain only if they followed his rules.
"But you stay under my rules."
I am also a believer in
Rule
rules.
number 1, no one steps in this room again.
That night, Ethan checked into a hotel. Alone, he played old videos of Zoe as a little girl. The memories hit hard. Years lost while he was away on CIA missions. The next morning, he called Christine and asked to meet at a lawyer's office. There, he told her about his illness and arranged the inheritance paperwork for his family. He also said he wanted to see Zoe again. Together, they went to pick her up from school. Zoe greeted him with a cold attitude, still hurt by his long absences. She introduced her boyfriend, Hugh, then turned down the new bike Ethan had brought for her, saying she was going home with a friend. Hoping to bridge the gap, Ethan invited her to dinner. Afterward, he rode through Paris on the bike meant for Zoe, eventually stopping at a market. There, he ran into Vivi, who tried to start a conversation. At first, Ethan brushed her off, until she held up his watch, the one he had traded for coins to call Zoe back in Serbia. She asked him to step into her car. Inside, she explained she worked for the CIA director and was hunting Wolf. She wanted Ethan's help.
I have access to many things, Ethan, but only you can give me access to the Wolf. I need you to find him, and I need you to kill him.
He refused, saying he had his own plans in Paris. Before leaving, Vivi handed him a vial of medicine that could slow his illness. After taking the medicine, Ethan decided to accept Vivi's offer and go after the Wolf. That afternoon, they headed to their target location. Vivi took out the guards without hesitation, while Ethan knocked his opponents down and captured the leader. Pressing him for answers, Ethan tried to get information about Wolf's accountant, but the man claimed he knew nothing.
I don't know. I swear.
Without a word, Vivi shot him dead. With no leads, they left. In the elevator, Vivi gave Ethan an injection of the medicine she'd provided earlier. Ethan then rattled off a list of demands as payment for helping her catch Wolf. She agreed to every one of them without hesitation. When Ethan got to Christine's place, he heard Zoe screaming upstairs. He rushed into her room, only to find she was yelling over her messy hair. Christine came home moments later and scolded Ethan for being late. He told her he'd met someone who could help treat his illness, but Christine doubted it, suspecting it was just some experimental drug. That night, as Ethan tried to sleep, his body began to react strangely. Hallucinations hit hard. Desperate, he called Vivi. She calmly told him to drink vodka to ease the effects. The next morning, Christine was rushing to leave for a few days in London. Ethan happily drove her, glad to be with his family again. In the kitchen afterward, Zoe appeared with her hair freshly styled and set a special ringtone on Ethan's phone for when she called. After dropping Zoe off at school, Ethan got word from Vivi. He had only 3 days to find and kill Wolf. She handed him a check for $150,000 to make sure he got the job done. Soon after, Ethan and Vivi were back on the hunt. Vivi told him to track down a man named Mitat, who could lead them to Wolf. When Ethan arrived at Mitat's office, 2 guards sneered at his worn-out look, so he shot them without warning. Mitat walked in to find Ethan sitting casually at his desk. Without giving him a chance to react, Ethan arrested him and dragged him home for questioning. Before he could begin, Ethan's phone rang. It was Zoe's principal, asking him to come to school right away to talk about her behavior. Ethan showed up calm and unfazed, almost amused by his daughter's trouble. After meeting the principal, he went back to Mitat and drove him to a secluded spot, ready to use force. He pressed Mitat for information about Albino. Then Zoe called. She apologized for the mess at school and asked him to come hang out with her. Ethan promised he'd see her later in the afternoon and hung up, refocusing on the mission. He later went to a hotel to meet a contact, a room guarded by a single man. But just as things were about to move forward, Zoe called again, upset he hadn't shown up as promised. Ethan didn't want to disappoint her, so he told her to wait for him.
No, I'm almost there, honestly. So give me 5 minutes.
Fine. 5 minutes. I have homework.
Then walked away from the job entirely. Instead, he spent the afternoon with Zoe at a playground, playing and laughing together. Afterward, he suggested they grab dinner and watch a movie at home. She turned him down, saying she already had plans with a friend. Ethan hid his disappointment, knowing he couldn't control her choices. Later that day, while shopping in a supermarket, a sudden gunshot rang out. The bullet hit him, but his vest stopped it. As the shooter closed in, Ethan pretended to be dead, then lunged up and attacked. The fight exploded on the spot. Ethan forced the man back until he was cornered, then shot him dead just before the attacker could stab him with a broken bottle. Searching the body, he discovered the shooter was one of Albino's men. When he got home, he found a voicemail from Christine. Earlier, he had asked her about the friend Zoe was supposed to meet. Christine said she had never heard of this friend before. Suspicious, Ethan went to Zoe's room to look for clues. He found a note from a tattoo shop and headed there right away. But Zoe wasn't there. As he was leaving, he noticed a parked car with Zoe's bag inside. Inside the bag, he found an invitation to a party thrown by Mitat's daughter. He went straight to Mitat's house and demanded to know where the party was. Mitat's 2 daughters told him it was being held at La Soirees. The place was packed with teenagers dancing and drinking. As Ethan searched for Zoe, a sudden wave of headache hit, forcing him into the restroom. That's where he spotted her, cornered and bullied by a group of boys. Ethan stepped in, knocking all 3 of them out cold. He carried the drunken Zoe out of there and took her home. By morning, she woke to find him sitting by her side, having stayed all night to watch over her. Their talk quickly turned into an argument about him forcing her to ride home on her bike. Zoe snapped back, saying she couldn't ride because no one had ever taught her, then stormed out. Taking that to heart, Ethan decided to teach her how to ride. Afterward, he returned to grab Matat, catching him just after he'd dropped off his daughters at school. Ethan wanted him to provide something critical for the mission. Meanwhile, elsewhere, some of Wolf's men collected a suitcase and drove off. Ethan had been shadowing Wolf's men, preparing his move with a small bomb strapped to his leg. Riding a bicycle, he rolled up beside one of their cars and slipped the bomb underneath. Then he fired gas into the vehicle carrying the suitcase. As the bodyguard stumbled out coughing, Ethan slid into the smoke-filled car and sped off. Another car gave chase, the one with the bomb attached, but it didn't get far. The bomb went off mid-pursuit, giving Ethan the chance to run. He had Guido, the man with the suitcase, as his hostage now. Back at his place, Ethan demanded the code to disarm the bomb inside the briefcase. Once he got it, he told George's son, Abort, to let Guido go in 2 hours. That night, mission complete. Ethan met Vivi in a bar and handed over the suitcase. She gave him another dose of the medicine in return. Later, Ethan came by Christine's house and found Zoe asleep on the couch. When she woke, she asked him to go with her to Hugh's party and mentioned she couldn't dance. Ethan immediately started teaching her right there. Christine walked in, saw the two of them together, and was quietly moved. The three ended up spending the evening as a family. The next morning, Vivi called. Albino was holed up at a hotel in Paris. Ethan headed there for surveillance. While checking the car Albino was about to use, he spotted Wolf inside. He remembered seeing him back at the Serbian hotel during his last mission. When Matat, Wolf's driver, pulled away, Ethan tailed him and accidentally clipped his car. Wolf told Matat to step on it. Wolf's men opened fire on Ethan's vehicle. He pushed back, forcing their car into a crash on a bridge. Wolf and Albino scrambled out and fled, leaving the wreck behind. Ethan stopped long enough to pull Matat from the car before chasing after them. Ethan chased Wolf and Albino all the way to a train station. Just as he was about to strike, a sharp headache hit, dropping him to the ground. Albino told Wolf not to worry. Ethan was sick and wouldn't be a threat. Seeing him unconscious, Albino dragged him toward the edge of the tracks, ready to let a train finish the job. But as the train approached, Ethan snapped awake, landed a punch, and shoved Albino onto the tracks. The impact killed him instantly. Ethan turned to go after Wolf, but his body gave out again. He tried calling Vivi, but the words died in his throat before he collapsed. When he came to, he was in Vivi's place. She told him his lab results were back. The treatment was working. Moments later, Christine called, reminding him to get home in time for Zoe's party. Ethan hesitated about continuing the mission, but Vivi pushed him again to finish Wolf. Meanwhile, Wolf ordered a change of plans, telling his men to take him to his associate's home. That evening, Ethan returned to Christine's house dressed sharply, surprising both her and Zoe. They arrived at the party, where Hugh introduced his parents to Zoe, Ethan, and Christine. Hugh's father then introduced his business partner, who is none other than the Wolf. The two men shook hands, each sizing the other up. Throughout the party, Ethan and Wolf kept their eyes locked on each other. Realizing Wolf posed a danger to Zoe, Ethan quietly told her to go with Hugh. Christine, noticing Ethan's tense movements, figured out he was on a mission. She reminded him of his promise to quit, her voice edged with disappointment. Ethan told her he'd explain later, but she walked out to the balcony, upset. Inside, Wolf gave the order to his men, "Kill Ethan immediately." On the balcony with Christine, Ethan barely had a moment before Wolf's men attacked. He fought them off fiercely, hurling them over the railing. Gunfire cracked. A bullet hit Ethan, and in the chaos, Wolf slipped toward the elevator. Gritting through the pain, Ethan fired at the elevator, jamming it mid-descent. He moved in, shot through the rope, and sent the car, and Wolf, crashing down. Ethan made his way to the ground floor, cutting down every man who tried to block him. When he finally reached Wolf, the man lay injured from the fall. Ethan raised his gun to finish it, but a sharp headache tore through his skull, and he collapsed. When he came to, Vivi was there, urging him to kill Wolf. Ethan aimed, but memories of his past and his wife's plea for him to quit made him lower the gun. Calmly, he told Vivi he wouldn't do it. Frustrated, Vivi took the gun and shot Wolf herself. The film's ending shifts to a serene beach where Zoe plays in the sand. Ethan, at home, hangs ornaments on a Christmas tree. Christine arrives with gifts, one wrapped in bright red. Inside, Ethan finds a vial, a cure, sent by Vivi. In the end, Ethan walks away from his violent past, choosing family over vengeance. With Zoe laughing on the beach and Christine by his side, he finally has a second chance, proof that even the most broken lives can be rebuilt. Well, that's the end of this recap. How did you like this story? Let me know in the comments below. See you in the next video. Bye-bye.